At the time of this recording, the Summer Game Fest presentation was yesterday, and we also recently had PlayStation's State of Play. These presentations are super exciting for me as a gamer just because I love to see what is coming up and what I have to look forward to, for the next part of the year. If you guys have been paying attention to social media or anything, you would know that a ton of people were actually upset at the State of Play presentation and the Summer Game Fest presentation in specific, because, there was stuff they were looking forward to that didn't get released, and the general consensus on social media, I feel like, is that these two presentations were a letdown this year, which really got me thinking because I was actually really excited watching both the State of Play and the Summer Game Fest. And I actually saw a post on social media, and it was back in 2016, I think, when they first announced God of War 2018, how excited everybody got for that reveal. And it was basically implying that, we don't have this anymore nowadays, and like, what happened to game reveals, it's gone. Nobody really pays attention. Nobody cares anymore. And I kind of wanted to make a video kind of talking about why that's just not true and why the gaming community is just in a weird place. The first point I really want to hammer home is that the gaming industry is in a weird transitionary period, okay? I mean, look at most of the games that were announced during the Summer Game Fest and the State of Play. A lot of these games were brand new IPs or something that we haven't seen in a long time. For example, like Astro Bot, PlayStation releasing a 3D platforming game is so out of the box for them in, today's day and age. I mean, we also saw some live service games a lot of people weren't too fond of, but my main point here is we saw a ton of games get released that have no previous IPs. It's an entirely new thing, and a lot of people look at that as disappointments because they want to see, I don't know, a new God of War announcement or a Bloodborne remake announcement, a Bloodborne 2. They want to see what From Software is doing, all this stuff. But a lot of people just kind of turn a blind eye to all the new stuff coming out. And in the gaming industry right now, we're in an era where the underdog developers, the developers that you've never heard of and the IPs you never heard of, are going to be kind of taking the gaming industry by storm because they're the ones who are going to be, making revolutionary titles. And I feel like most of the game studios that are letting everybody down nowadays are game companies like Ubisoft, EA. You got Ubisoft releasing a beloved game for Star Wars fans, right? Star Wars Outlaws. This is something that they've been excited for a while, and then it's met with a ton of controversy, and Ubisoft's just totally screwing it up with deluxe editions and everything like that. These AAA developers like Ubisoft, EA, they're the ones who are really kind of shooting themselves in the foot here, to say the least, because they're kind of opening themselves up for vulnerability for, underdog competition to kind of surpass them. Because, like I said before, a lot of these new IPs, I'm telling you right now, for example, a game like Phantom Blade, which was announced yesterday at the Summer Game Fest, this game looks like it could totally be groundbreaking for next gen, and it's going to spark a lot of discussion. Another game like that is going to be Black Myth Wukong for sure. Like, you have all these underdog developers that are releasing new IPs that are actually utilizing next gen technology amazingly, and it's kind of overshadowing a lot of the big developers like EA and Ubisoft. Yet there are a lot of people who still pay attention to Ubisoft and EA because they have been cash cows in the industry for so long. So, because of the fact that they're such big companies, they get a lot of spotlight and a lot of press, and they're kind of getting too comfortable, being at the top of the gaming industry, to say the least. And that's why I think that we're in a weird transitionary period right now, is because a lot of these, underdog developers are looking at these top companies and seeing how they're fumbling the bag, and they don't really put too much passion into their projects, and a lot of these underdog developers, they just make something that overshadows them. And so we're in that period right now where we have to wait and see what new IPs are going to be brought forward, that could potentially be long franchises. Now, look, I thought that PlayStation's State of Play was a little bit underwhelming, but the hate that Summer Game Fest is getting right now is completely absurd because we saw a ton of interesting new stuff. And, the key word here is new, because there are some games here that are just so fresh, like we've never seen anything from these developers or these IPs. And I'm excited for it, but I feel like a lot of the people who are criticizing these events for being lackluster and being lame are the same people that complain about nothing new being added in the gaming industry. They're, complaining about no new ideas and no innovation, yet when there is new ideas and new innovation brought forward at something like Summer Game Fest, they're up in arms, complaining, saying that it was a letdown and that nobody cares about this stuff. So there's just a massive contradiction here. And this is something that isn't new in the gaming industry whatsoever. I mean, I'm sure you guys all remember, the boos that Xbox got when they released or when they announced the Xbox One, and it was for kind of a valid reason. But at the end of the day, man, the Xbox One, in my opinion, turned out to be a really fun console. We got some great games, and I feel like, dude, the gaming community, they just love to complain. They don't really want to talk about stuff that was announced. They always want to hyperfixate on the stuff that's lame. And an example of that is Concord, all right? This is like a 5v5 Overwatch type shooter that was announced during PlayStation's State of Play. Sounds lame, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of lame. But everybody is so hyper fixated on Concord and hating on Concord that they just turn a blind eye to all the other new IPs that are coming out that are going to be so, so good. For example, like Phantom Blade, Black Myth Wukong, Astrobot from PlayStation. Like, these are some really, really great ideas, and a lot of people just don't care. And the stuff that's getting the spotlight is stuff like Conquered, which a lot of people think is a letdown. And I agree that is a letdown. I don't want another 5v5 Overwatch game, but like I said, dude, there's so much other stuff you guys need to look at here, rather than just the bad parts of it. I think another issue that the gaming community kind of suffers from is that a lot of, gamers don't really consume content from the direct source from something like Summer Game Fest or PlayStation State of Play. Most of the time, they're watching an influencer's video on it, and those influencers tend to just nitpick the negative parts. And I'm sorry, as somebody who's been on the other side of that and has actually some decent experience with social media, I'm telling you guys right now, negativity is what gets attention. All right, like, negativity sells. So it's kind of twisted because you have all these influencers who will just nitpick all the bad stuff that they see and combine it and then say it was trash. And then you have everybody else who watches that video, and that's how they consume PlayStation State of Play or Summer Game Fest or whatever. And so their general opinion on it is that it was bad and that there was nothing good that was announced. And then it's just a whole whirlwind across the internet, and you just see so many negative opinions just floating around. Like, it's really stupid, man. I'm not gonna lie, and it is really unfortunate. But I mean, this has been the internet for like 2 decades at this point, especially with video games and the video game community. So you just kind of got to learn to deal with it. It just kind of sucks because it feels like a lot of these people just kind of suck the fun out of all of these events. Because if you actually watch somebody react to it, and or you just watch it yourself, you'll see that there's a lot of positive things there. Like, for example, I just watched FaZe Jev's video on the Summer Game Fest, and he seemed pretty excited about most of the stuff. He didn't, have anything bad to say. He wasn't sitting there the whole time like, this is terrible, whatever, dude. No, like, a lot of the hate surrounding these reveal events and a lot of hate around video games nowadays in general is so dramatized, it's actually crazy. I guess overall, my main point here is there are a ton of people on the internet who will say that video games were better in the past and that everything was better in the past and nothing's exciting anymore and that gaming is going downhill as a whole. And I really hate that type of mentality, especially with something like video games, because at the end of the day, bro, video games are not that serious. It's meant to have fun, it's created to have fun. So, to have that sort of mentality, it's kind of like, bro, like, you need to chill out a little bit. And there's a massive group of people on the internet that are like that. Like, uh, they never know how to enjoy stuff in the moment. I'm sure that, like 4 years down the line, when we take a look back at all of the games that were revealed for the Summer Game Fest, we're gonna be really nostalgic towards a lot of them because a lot of them are gonna be fantastic. And that's just kind of how the cycle of this works. So I wanted to make this video because if you're like me and you guys were actually excited about the Summer Game Fest and you saw a lot of stuff that you were excited for, and a lot of the fun kind of got sucked out for you, by people saying that it was trash this year and E3 back in the day or whatever was so much better. Like, just don't listen to them, bro, because it's just toxic at the end of the day. And I'm telling you, there are people out here who are extremely excited for the second half of 2024 with games, including myself. So yeah, I just wanted to make that video because it's just some interesting thoughts that I had while I was watching the Summer Game Fest after hearing everything everyone was saying about it. So yeah, that's really all for the video today, guys. If you guys do like, drop a sub and a like, of course, that would help me a ton. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.